Welcome to Go Play Esports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play.
Hi, this is your host, Christopher Turner. This is another episode of Go Play Esports Podcast. Like I said before, man, it's a great day. I know everybody's dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, but hey, we're here. Stay safe, stay home. Make sure if you do have to go out, just be safe. And I'm telling you, man, it's just been a pleasure having the time to create content, to create good relationships, and just move forward. With that said, I'm lurking in these DMs on Twitter. I'm making some contacts with some great people within the esports arena. I started out this podcast saying that I was going to go and do, Thursday nights at 6 p.m. At some point after all this stuff with the COVID-19 is over with, we're going to go back to that platform. I have some people on schedule that are going to basically be in that time slot, which we'll still be releasing for the next couple of weeks. But, with that said, I'm just blessed to still be here, still be safe. My heart goes out to everyone that's dealing with some issues of the COVID-19 pandemic or have some loved ones or some friends that are dealing with. The prayers are definitely in order, and I hope a speedy recovery for whoever's dealing with that. If you follow me on Twitter, you already know who my host is today. Well, my guest, not host. She's a host on many platforms, and we're waiting for her to check in now. And it's going to be a great show. Trust me. I'm just going to run through some of her accomplishments, man. She's a multimedia personality. She's a host. She's a producer. She consults. Avid video game lover. She loves sports and music, content. She's shaped a lot of careers, been involved with a lot of companies such as AT&T, Gen.G, Wall Street Journal, the University of Kentucky, REVOLT TV. She's a freelance consultant and host for a lot of people. You might see her on Cheddar a lot. She has a podcast that she's involved with called Grassroots Podcast. And if you don't know who I'm talking about by now, it's Erin Ashley Simon. And we're waiting for her to come in. She should be checking in with us shortly. And I'm just blessed for her to be on the show, to be involved with something that's so brand new. When I sought out to do this podcast, started a esports program at the high school that I work with. And when I went into a lot of these corporate offices to get sponsorship buy into esports, in this arena, as far as this part of the state, South Louisiana, it was always, what is esports? And that's why I started the podcast, and it's reached new heights from there. I've been able to reach out to many people, man. And Erin didn't hear our introduction, but when she goes back to listen, I'm actually gonna wait to see her feedback. But she's actually on the line now. How you doing, Erin? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Not a problem at all. Like I said right before you came on, I'm just blessed that, you were able to come on. Everybody's at home dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're able to reach out and create content, which is great. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was saying, the content creation process has been interesting, right? I mean, with Twitch streams, it's increased, but then when it comes to additional content, everyone's just making do with what they have and with whatever way. So it's been a really unique space to look at right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like I said before, I did a brief introduction. Can you tell the listening audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So, hey everyone, my name is Erin Ashley Simon. I'm a host for Cheddar Esports. I've been doing media work for about 10 years, going on 11 years, and I've done work within traditional sports, working for the likes of the Wall Street Journal, to music media as a part of the social team, digital team, and producer at Diddy Television Network, REVOLT TV. I've done content strategy work for companies and even some professional athletes. When we speak of just the world of content, that's something that I've been just engrossed in for a very long time, as well as media work. And now I'm within esports and gaming from a hosting and media perspective. And on top of that, too, my main area of focus is the intersection of those two industries and culture, which consists of music and sports and social matters. So that's something that I strive to continue to push, especially when we're speaking on esports and gaming specifically.
Yeah. And before I dip into the questions, I have to make this statement. For me, it's just a pleasure to see you and how you're operating on such a high level. I have two daughters, and to see you push not only industry standard or being that bridge in between sports and esports, and being a woman of color is awesome to me. One of my daughters is an avid gamer. She's 13, and she's actually just got her first letter from a college that's interested in her as far as Smash Brothers. So just to see you operate in that space and how you're operating is a breath of fresh air for me, being a dad of two daughters.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh. Mhm.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, it's so important that we have women and ladies in this space to, to show the young girls that they themselves can have a career in this space as well and be at the forefront too.
Yeah. So let's dive into it. I did my research, so I know you were a competitive athlete at a D1 school, soccer. You got hurt. Like, what made you go into being into like media content and journalism?
So how I got into it was honestly by accident. I was a top athlete in New Jersey for soccer. Did a lot of traveling, and most of the time when I was traveling, I was playing soccer or stayed home and was training a lot. For me, growing up, I grew up with a sick mother, so getting a soccer scholarship was my top priority at the time. And also that I loved soccer and I loved playing it. And with that, because I was staying in a lot, I saw all these really cool interviews, and I wanted to start doing some interviews, and I wanted to start writing about some things that I enjoy. I didn't think of myself as the best writer at the time, but I just wanted to have something for myself that I consistently do aside from just playing video games and traveling for soccer and training for soccer. So I created this blog called Box of Mess, and MESS stands for Music, Entertainment, Sports, and Style, because that's something that I love in all facets. And so with that, I started covering AAU high school basketball, and a lot of the players at the time were the same age as I. I started when I was like about 15, 16 years old. So, these players everyone was trying to get their attention because around that time was when they had their announcements for colleges and stuff like that. Got to the point where they would tell me information, and they respected my grind, they respected the work, and so I was reporting and writing blogs talking about their interest in basketball and other topics, and then also just letting people know about the colleges that they were considering or narrowing down. And because of that, it blew up. I had well over 1 million views, and people from ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports were tuning into my blog because these players would give me this information. And so with that, started to realize this is something that I wanted to do. And originally I was going to school for kinesiology, and after my freshman year, I decided I wanted to do journalism work, and that's when I made the decision to transfer. At first, I went to Rutgers University and played soccer there, and then after that, I went to the University of Kentucky, and I also played soccer there too. And from there, I knew that media was going to be my career route. And so, because I love storytelling, I love talking to people, I love engaging with people, and just hearing just the unique perspectives that they all had. And so with that, that's what pushed me into a career in journalism. And then from there, you know, with the podcast I have with my friends, the Grassroots Podcast, that pushed me into then doing broadcasting, moving into REVOLT TV. That pushed me into learning and obtaining a producer role. So throughout my entire career, there have been moments that I've gotten these opportunities, and sometimes opportunities just naturally happen, and some of these opportunities I asked for, and it pushed me into different realms and within media and learning these different skill sets within media. So that's been a very interesting progression for myself with how me doing media work was just out of nowhere. And then a lot of these different roles and titles that I've obtained over time just happened naturally or based off of the opportunities that I got. You know, when I was asked to do something and I did it well, then I was able to obtain a different role that allowed me to grow certain skill sets in this realm.
And you touched on something there, you know, being humble and, you know, still being professional at the same time. Talk to us for a few minutes about, like, you know, what it is to have a good character and to build those relationships to move on to that next level so doors can, like, continue to open for you.
Well, in terms of professionalism, I think at the end of the day, you know, especially with me being a woman, there's a way that you have to maneuver, right? Because I've had people, you know, even in comments, people would say things like, oh, she definitely slept with this guy and all this crazy stuff that is not true. I've had that. I've had people come in and say the N-word or make a comment on, like, oh, she's ugly anyway, like all this ridiculous stuff just because they don't agree with what I said or agree with just anything in general. But I think that the number one thing is just keep your level of professionalism. Do the best work that you can do. I know sometimes people are like, oh, well, I do the work and I don't get attention for it. No, you should be doing the work to get attention for it, because then if you're doing that and that's not your passion then, right? I think ultimately when you're passionate about something, you're passionate about a space, you're going to put in the work no matter what, and you're going to be professional about it no matter what, and then people are going to notice. And with that professionalism, you also have to keep a good reputation for yourself, and more so about your character, right? Reputation is what people think about you, and character is about who you really are. And so you have to make sure your character is set in stone. There are going to be people even in the industry that will say stuff about you just because they don't like you thriving, right? But you yourself have to make sure at the end of the day that you are a good person, that you respond to emails very well, that you're on time, that you have to make sure you're on point in every single way. Because then if you're on point every single way, you'll get more opportunities, no matter what certain people say, no matter what fans say or people say that about your image, no matter what people in the industry say about you, if they don't like you. At the end of the day, like if you are good at what you do and you're timely and you're passionate about it and you're set in stone, it's a lot easier to maneuver in this space, and it's a lot easier to develop relationships, because relationships are super, super crucial for your career growth as well. And even with that, right, even when you're developing these relationships, you shouldn't be developing the relationships to just solely gain something from someone. Granted, business is a tit-for-tat industry in a sense, right? Like you do something for someone or they hire you because you get value from it, and then you get value from it, whether it's the company's name or you just another project, resume, or anything like that. That's just how business is. But it's so much more important to actually develop relationships with people where you get to know who they are and treat them like a normal human being. You know, it's crazy how many opportunities I've gotten, even from like celebrities, just from me treating them like regular human beings and just ask them how they're doing and not ask for anything. And then from that, they're like, okay, what do you want to do, right? So
right.
All these different things and all these different components have helped me in terms of growing in my career, and also understanding, you know, I never will tell someone not to take a project to pass on a project because they're not paying. You have to figure out what's best for you, right? For me personally, I have the projects that I take that I'm like, no, you have to pay me. And I evaluate every single project to determine, okay, if they may not have a lot of money,